What's going on, guys? Welcome to Game Crunch. I got some pretty fun news here that I found today to share with you guys. So, this is pretty much the end of one of the longest running console wars. Actually, the longest video game console war that has ever occurred, because these are the kind of the original OGs. Honestly, a little bit before my time. I mean, I'm a little older, but I'm not quite that old. But let's get into this. I do all kinds of video game news and video game reviews and fun video game related stuff. If that's your thing, consider liking and subscribing for more content like that. It would just be fun to kind of share this. This comes from an article that is reported on by VGC, and Atari has acquired the Intellivision brand, ending the first console war. So basically, I kind of highlighted some stuff here just to kind of keep things moving along, make this video not too long, so that way you guys can get on with your day, I can get on with my day, everybody can be happy. So, Atari has acquired Intellivision brand, basically ending the first console rivalry since the 70s. It's done. Atari has officially bought out Intellivision. What does this mean for the gaming industry? I don't think a whole lot. Neither of these companies really do that, especially in television anymore, as we'll kind of get into here with their Amico console, which has just been honestly an absolute disaster. But we'll get into that in a minute. So the Intellivision Entertainment LLC, which has been working on the Amico console, which is what I've been saying for a number of years. But the deal didn't include this Amico console, which is kind of strange. So there's a weird way that they're kind of going about this. Really, it seems like Atari's really just kind of acquired the rights to some games and the branding of Intellivision. So I'm assuming then going forward, this Amico console will not be Intellivision branded. It'll be completely something else. It might not even be called an Amico. So it will continue as a separate rebranded company. And will continue working on the Amico using a license from Atari to release Intellivision games on it. So then they have to license all the games to Atari. A little bit of strange acquisition going on here. The other thing, I'd be really curious actually to kind of know how much they bought them for. Like, I kind of like checked out their YouTube channel really quick, and it really just seems like Intellivision at this point is just kind of like a small office with like a group of guys. Like, it doesn't seem like it's much going on there. You know what I mean? As far as value, and I don't think they're bringing in as much revenue, as they did in the late 70s, early 80s. It kind of goes on here to explain the first Intellivision was released by Mattel in '79 and was responsible for starting the first ever video game console war. This is kind of before the, if you kind of know anything about video game history, this is kind of like the first boom of video games, and then they kind of went through a bust until Nintendo kind of essentially saved the industry in 85, 86. But basically, they went head to head with Atari in the late 70s, early 80s. So basically, that puts them together after 45 years. Now, this I thought was kind of funny. The Atari CEO chairman, Wade Rosen, basically said Atari Intellivision and the golden age of gaming. Now, the golden age of gaming. To call Atari and Intellivision the golden age of gaming? Seems a little weird. I wouldn't call Atari and Intellivision the golden age of gaming, seeing that it kind of just like, I think it lasted like pretty much 5 or 6 years, and they were pretty much like, they did their boom and bust and it was game over. I would consider Atari and Intellivision more of like the bronze age of gaming. Gaming kind of like became a little more into itself. Before that, I mean, you can kind of call it whatever, the Stone Age of gaming, in the 50s and 60s, when they just figured out that, hey, you can make these computers actually like bash a ball back and forth. Wow. That's more of like your Stone Age. I would consider Atari and Intellivision the Bronze Age of gaming. To call it the Golden Age of gaming, which actually got me thinking a little bit. What is the Golden Age of gaming? And I thought about it a little bit when I was reading this article, and I think that if you're going to go, I think the Silver Age of gaming, which is what Nintendo brought on with the NES, that kind of brought us into the next level of gaming. But I think the Golden Age of gaming, and this is kind of going to probably change with your age and kind of what you've experienced in the gaming industry. And I was born in the very late '80s, and I grew up with the NES and the Super Nintendo and the N64, GameCube, sort of thing. Kind of when I got to high school, and I think the golden age of gaming for me, I would consider that era, not the NES, and maybe not even the Super Nintendo, but kind of the Super Nintendo, um, because we've never seen leaps in technology that was as quick and as awestruck as it was. That essentially the from the 8-bit to the 16-bit, that huge jump. Like if you look at what the NES can do compared to what the Super Nintendo can do, it was mind blowing. Okay. And then after that, with the Sega Saturn, the PS1, the N64, going to the 3D and finally getting 3D in our homes was absolutely mind blowing. I remember being, like, I probably would have been like 8 years old or something in a Toys R Us and seeing the Nintendo 64 for the first time, like, literally blew up my little head. It was insane watching Mario actually run around in 3D. So I think that and even into the early PS2 GameCube era, because we have never seen leaps in technology and leaps in graphics like that before. And also, it was really before the internet kind of started to take things over. And we had that, when Pokemon came out, for example, and there was all the rumors of Mew. Well, we didn't really have so much internet back then to really confirm any of that. So it was like the golden age of gaming with that schoolyard back and forth, like, oh, I can do this, or I unlocked Reptile in Mortal Kombat 1. If you just got to do this little button like things like that don't exist anymore because you can confirm it on the internet. And to me, the 90s, I'd say the 90s was the golden age of gaming. If anything, I might say, now we're sometimes it feels like we're in the dark ages of gaming. This is the dark ages. But let's continue on with this article. The acquisition means Atari now owns the rights to more than 200 titles from Intellivision. I can't even really think of any Intellivision or really Atari games, and I think that just comes down to I didn't grow up with that stuff. I don't even really have it. Like I don't have any of that stuff in my collection. My collection begins at the NES. I don't have anything older than that, and I don't really have much desire to collect any of that stuff because to me those games didn't age. Not to say that a lot of NES games didn't age very good either, but those games are extremely primitive compared to what even the NES can do. So basically, Atari's now kind of going on and using the Intellivision branding. You can actually get Intellivision shirts here if you want an Intellivision shirt. Go ahead and grab one here from Atari. But the last thing here I wanted to kind of cover on was this Amico system. So I don't really know much about the Amico system, but I just did a little bit of research kind of before this video because I've heard of it, and but I hadn't really heard much, and that's kind of why. So it was originally due to launch in October of 2020. Due to COVID-19, it was pushed back, like a lot of things were. That's understandable. To April 2021 again, and then to the fall of 2021. So it seems like it just got pushed back and back and back. And then recently, Intellivision released the Amico Home, which this is kind of where it's a little damning. It's unfortunate, really. An attempt to bring the Amico console experience to mobile without having to release the hardware. That to me sounds like, they might be giving up on that hardware, especially because it's now been 4 years of like for a console that plays essentially Intellivision games. Like, come on, it should not take that long. But basically, they're going to rebrand following Atari's acquisition, and then claims the Amico console is still under development. Still under development. Like, what is going on? So let's check out the Amico website here. So this is kind of like the Amico. There might be a kind of a better picture of it down here. It's fun for everyone. So it does look like it's more of like updated graphically as far as like, those old Atari and Intellivision game. It does look like it's a little updated as far as graphics go. They kind of go on here and say all their games are E for everyone. But this is essentially the console. Like, I guess it hooks up to your TV. You got these two little remotes, kind of like what the Intellivision was, and it had the little dial thing to kind of control, and it has a touch screen, and it has all that stuff. Battery charge. Looks like it's wireless, because I know on the Intellivision, I've only ever played one a couple times in my life, but It's got the cord that's kind of like attached to the console, like a phone cord, and it's got the little dial. Weird controls. Very primitive. That's why you can't consider that the golden age of gaming. When in the '90s, well, I guess in the '80s, the D-pad was invented, but the Super Nintendo with the triggers and the invention of the thumbstick instead of like the joystick, like that's the golden age of gaming. Comes in a couple different colors. I mean, if it ever comes out, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's got motion control, up to 8 players. How about, yeah, I don't know what's happening with this Amico. Oh, apparently they got red, purple, all kinds of stuff. I mean, maybe they should focus a little less on the colors and actually just getting this freaking thing to market. That'd be my idea. There's a picture of the original intellivision there. So it's got that, actually you can't really see it. Let me see if I can move this over just a little bit. It's got this phone cord. That's really got a curly phone cord on it. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. I thought it was pretty cool information and just a cool gaming story that the oldest console war, the beginning of the console wars, is now officially over, and it is no more. There is no more Intellivision as we know it. So I won't take up any more of your time. I want to say thank you again. If you made it to the end of the video, awesome. Please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps the channel grow. I'm going to try and put out more content like this way more often. And I mean, I called the channel Game Crunch Daily, so I feel like I kind of have to. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Game Crunch out.